Ooh la science. Benjamin Franklin used the scientific method when he was just a boy. He grew up in Boston by the ocean, and he loved to swim. Ben swam fast, but he observed that fish swam faster. He hypothesized that if he had fins like a fish, he could swim faster too. So he tested his hypothesis by making a pair of thin wooden fins that fit over his hands. They worked. Ben went on to create many more inventions and conduct many more experiments. His report of flying a kite in a thunderstorm to draw down lightning made him the most famous American in the world. So when the rebellious colonies needed to ask the King of France for help against their common enemy, Great Britain, it was clear that Ben should be the one to go. When he set sail for France in 1776, Ben was an old man. He suffered from gout and kidney stones. He had a double chin. Instead of a fashionable powdered wig, he wore a plain fur hat to cover his bald head, and yet the French treated Ben like a celebrity. Poets wrote verses in his honor. Fashionable ladies threw him parties and called him Mon cher papa, my dear papa. So many souvenirs were sold showing old Ben in his fur hat and bifocal glasses, his own invention that he wrote home, "My face is now almost as well known as that of the moon." Ben Franklin's electricity wasn't the only mysterious force making a stir in France. Antoine Lavoisier, today known as the father of modern chemistry, dazzled audiences with demonstrations of invisible gases he named hydrogen and oxygen. And in 1783, the Montgolfier brothers defied gravity with another force no one could see, hot air. Ben joined the eager crowd to see Montgolfier gas carry a giant balloon high over Paris. It landed in a field outside the city, where farmers took it for a flying monster and attacked it with pitchforks. Meanwhile, in Vienna, a doctor named Franz Mesmer was also experimenting with invisible forces by waving magnets at his patients. After this treatment, they feel better. Since doctors at that time favored treatments such as bleeding and purging, Mesmer's patients may have gotten better simply because he didn't make them worse. But even when he found he could help patients just as well without the magnets, Mesmer didn't question the healing power of magnetism. Instead, he announced that he discovered a new type of magnetism. He called this new force animal magnetism because it worked on living creatures just as ordinary magnets worked on metal. In 1778, Mesmer arrived in Paris, where he began treating patients at a fancy hotel. The room was dimly lit, the windows hung with heavy drapes, covered in mystical signs. The only sound was the sweet, haunting music of the glass harmonica. This instrument, which Mesmer loved, happened to be invented by Ben Franklin. The patients sat in silence, holding hands around a wooden tub with iron rods called a baguette.
Where's the puppy?
The room grew hot and airless as the hours passed. Tall and elegant in his purple silk coat and powdered wig, Mesmer circled the room. He stared into patients' eyes. He waved his hand across their face until, one by one, they fell into a trance. Mesmer's chief assistant and most enthusiastic supporter was Charles d'Eslon, personal physician to the king's brother. But other doctors did not share his enthusiasm. Annoyed at patients who demanded the marvelous wand of Monsieur Mesmer, instead of regular medical treatment, they complained to the king.